Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Duncan Alderdice, and in this series, I make short videos in the morning as I walk and I talk through my thoughts as I try to put my life back together again. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a new idea that I've had and going to develop, as well as kind of a theme of staying focused, as well as complain about the wind when it's windy. Thank you for stopping wind. So here's how we're going to start this. Yesterday, I was supposed to start editing videos again and catch up. And I was able to accomplish one. There's a horsefly on this. I don't think you can see it, but it was standing right on the mic, so it probably was blocking some sort of audio thing. Focus on. So yesterday I was editing videos, and then I was thinking about all of the other things that I wanted to be doing. And then focusing on that instead, or getting distracted by that ladder. There's another fly on the camera. Okay, so we're gonna get focused. We're gonna get focused by a bunch of different things today. So here's the wind. Wind's really frustrating. One thing I'm noticing is the fact that the video topics are getting a bit more structured in terms of me knowing what it is that I want to talk about. Knowing what it is that I want to talk about. I don't know if you can see the horsefly, but it just landed on the camera lens. But I spent a lot of time thinking other things outside of making the videos that I was interested in and thought were worth exploring. Is this car coming towards me? It is, so we're just gonna stop for the moment. Can't blame anyone other than myself because I did get up at 9 or start on this walk at 9:09. So it is what it is. It's actually fascinating how many times I want to begin and then things get in the way and that are truly derailing. The wind is one of them because I know that when I hear it whipping past my ears, that's what you're hearing on the mic. And the mic, like, anti-wind effect isn't strong enough to just automatically pitch up or like put on that low or high pass frequency thing. Okay, we gotta persevere. One thing I find myself getting overwhelmed with is after taking days off because I was sick, as well as taking days off because I was moving, and I put those are kind of days off, not in terms of like a relaxation or vacation type day off, but more of a just day off of doing the thing. It's doing work there. It might be different kind of work. But what it's bringing to light is that there are different sort of goals and tasks that I've given myself. Ow! That time I smacked the fly off the camera, but I hit the camera really hard. That I might not be able to accomplish as effectively as if I had. So the thing about the wind too is the fact that because I've waited until later into the day, the sun's out, and the sun is now out casting hot air onto the earth, and that hot air makes the air or hot light, makes the air hotter. And because the air is hotter, then there's going to be a change in temperature of the air. And when there's a change in temperature of the air, there's going to be some air that's one temperature, and there's going to be other air that's a different temperature. And when that happens, then you actually get the result of that air moving. That's why, because it's like hot air rises and cool air doesn't rise. That's where wind comes from. Now, that's not the only thing, but it's part of the reason why at night there's a guy on a bike. Part of the reason why at night there isn't as much wind, not something that there's not always not wind, because a lot of the times there is wind at night, like it's a storm, but just that is a thing. I might be wrong about that. Why is it not windy in here? Okay, we're gonna figure out meteorology. So because doing one thing, okay, what I'm noticing is because I have a bunch of different sort of things going on, and I'm trying to accomplish a lot of things at the same time and want to do them to the fullest, that in accomplishing one of those things, it puts me in a position where it actively takes away from my ability to do other things. That's just like, that's pretty self-explanatory. But like going for the interview and packing up my things in Montreal prevented me from making these videos as good as I was before, because I was focused on that. But the more importantly is there was no editing being done, but also the progress on the now AI automation business idea thing halted to a standstill. Like there was nothing accomplished. And frankly, there hasn't really been anything accomplished since in like 2 weeks. And there's been a lot of emotional resistance to getting back to it, of trying to figure out, okay, like just get an hour, just get like a little bit done each day on the task. But instead of me doing so, just kind of emotionally pushing that away and productively procrastinating by editing these videos. And so I wouldn't call this as much of a procrastination by editing these videos, because this has its own trajectory and in and of itself. But what it's just telling me is it might be fun to start a bunch of things. That's the cool part, but it's more difficult to actually continue all of those things. And it might actually be impossible to master all of those things by doing all of those things and having started them all at the same time, because they get in the way of one another. Whereas it would be a better idea to just pick one of those things and focus solely on that thing, because even in doing so, you or I will find that it's difficult to be consistent at the same level at a high volume at a particular volume over a long time horizon, even at just that one thing. And so it's like you build a house one brick at a time. But what that means is one brick at a time. And what it means is you put one brick up, you lift it, it's like, oh, this shit's heavy. And then you put it down. And then it's like, okay, that's a good spot. But then you're also like, okay, well, where's the mortar or thing that the cement that goes in between? Am I laying this on right now? Is this the right spot? Like, there's enough thought that goes into, are people walking towards me or away from me? I'm going to give a good old gander and decide to turn around. There's enough thought and contemplation that goes into just placing one brick, especially if you've never done it before successfully, that thinking it would be a good idea to add a window to this wall, or to try adding some wood in it, or another building material that would be effective in illustrating this analogy. That, like, let's start with something, start with something manageable and continue that, and not start another thing, like just do more of that thing until you're so good at that that it becomes habitual, such that you can take on something else. Okay. So here's the thing I'm thinking about is, if the point of this series is documenting my thoughts as I try to put my life together again. But so the main content of it is my story. And so that's what people who are watching this, like you, are. That's the value they're getting. They're getting the value they're getting from returning each day and morning, or evening, or afternoon, depending on when you watch it. And so, if that's the case, like we haven't. No, hold on. I've lost the train of thought there. That's why people are watching it. Oh, but me getting my life together, as I have been exploring on these videos, is actually not just a simple box to check. It's not like, get your life together. It's like, okay, done. It's like, no, getting your life together is a bundled term for a series of sub behaviors and activities that need to be accomplished in order to do so. Like let's just say, for example, from a high level, get some form of income, get some form of housing, get some form of social network, and I don't know, let's say get some sort of social group. I just said that. A personal interest that you explore, like a hobby. Okay. Well, even in that, like, get an income. Like, is that a job? Is that a business that you've started? Let's go with job because it's easier, because it might be easier to get. It's like, what are you doing? How are you going to get hired? I still don't have a job yet, officially. So that might be, it might be better for me to, before going, okay, in addition to getting a job, finding an apartment, putting life back together, making a bunch of different sort of lifestyle choices and thinking these things through and documenting the journey while I do such a thing, is let's also learn how to start a business that we've never done before. It's like, okay, love the enthusiasm, but maybe it would be a good idea to not say never to the business, but just go, are we at the point in the sequence where it makes Optimus Prime time sense to pursue that particular task? And I think that tough part of life is because while similar to a video game, we got open world role-playing game pursuit thing, task, whatever, which is largely what video games are based on, is it's not one. And for a very important mechanism of you can't save on a separate file save and then try the level again playing it through a different decision. Like, you actually have to make a decision and decide. And I think the Latin, there's a stream, I don't know if you can hear it. There's the Latin derivative, or the etymology of decide, is like to cut off, meaning you have to like choose one option over another, which means cutting off the access to another option, which means it's better to, you have to fully explore one and say no to something. And because we have a finite amount of time on this planet, at least that we are consciously aware of in this version of consciousness, then by its very nature, it's impossible to do everything. Though maybe there's an argument that you can, but at least, especially not at the, if you want to do something very, very, very well, you got to focus on just one. If you don't want to do something well, for that matter, you got to have some degree of focus. If you just started a new thing every single day, that might be very fulfilling for you. That might be what you want to do. Actually hit that. Be like Genghis Khan, but not Genghis Khan. The Master Miyoshi? Is that the Kung Fu guy? I hit him again there. My hands are like deadly weapons. That could be an interesting life if you wanted to pursue that. But I think that's besides the point right now, because I think it's a more useful perceptual map, like an idea to use as a tool, is to like going like to cut things up, like pick one thing and focus on that for a bit, Because even doing that one thing you're going to fail at, because it's actually difficult to focus on one thing. And sometimes going like, well, it's not difficult to focus on one thing, that's just an excuse. It's like I love the mentality, because that like takes our ownership for going like, don't go, it's like, oh, it's my ADHD, that's why I can't focus. It's like, well, no, you're just explaining the reason why you're not behaving the way you like to. But that doesn't help you accomplish the task at hand. However, I think there's sometimes going, okay, well, there's good mentality things that have the same words as just scientific observations. And if we define focusing on something actually as difficult, and we define difficult as, like, focus is just eliminating options other than the one thing. And difficult is that it takes effort, concentrated effort, repeatedly. I think that's the other thing, is it's difficult, but because it's difficult doesn't mean it always will be difficult. It was difficult to stand at one point, and now you can run. Some of you might not be able yet, but you'll get there. Or your own version of running. Anyways, you can move at a more advanced way than you did before, and it was difficult to get there, but that's not to say that it's impossible. And so to dwell on the fact that it's difficult right now doesn't help you progress forward, but you can acknowledge that in going, perhaps I shouldn't do 15 other things at the same time of doing this difficult thing. So I think that one thing I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to cancel the membership to the AI automation. It's like the 1% automation society thing that I'm paying for, which I haven't been doing a full month, but I can see it not as a distraction, but as a worthy thing that definitely, if I was focused with, could produce income and I could have success with, arguably more financial success, let's say, than what the current path that I'm doing. However, I've never done it before. It might not be the most strategic time, and certainly trying to pursue both at the same time while I'm failing to successfully do one is going to be more a certificate of destruction, no, guarantee of failure than just picking one. And so I have to make that decision. So that decision is going to be made, even though it feels difficult and I still want to explore it. It's not saying no forever, but it's saying no now. And yes, I still could explore the things on it, and I might lose access to the group by saying no today, but better for me to say no now than no later, because then I get to explore what the other side of saying no now, no is earlier. So win-win. So that's the other thing, and I'll just touch on this briefly, is I think these videos are great for the story that might not have as much wide appeal, but I can repurpose the content that I get in these sort of rough draft notes and then use the tools available to make a bit more of polished videos, maybe not have a faceless, but some sort of animations with it that could be just kind of a sort of creative pursuit that I would be doing on a separate channel. Again, now feels like I might be just exploring a new thing. But if the intention of this and understanding of this one is to optimize the channel to make it grow with an understanding that the content is not as widely relatable immediately, because who the fuck am I as a pull in, but just kind of more as a sandbox for exploration and creativity. I don't see it. That seems like something I would like to do, but not something that I could pursue if I was simultaneously trying to build a business and get good at a job and figure out how to live a life that doesn't result in me building myself into a stressful, socially isolated thing that I inadvertently drink myself out of and end up at home again. Because we want to avoid this. Same condition, new behavior, and you have learned. In any case, I appreciate you watching to the end. We got the wind back. Pathetic fallacy. Getting turbulent up in here. And I know you know this already, But I'll say it again, is that desire is what drives you forward. The pain you're going through is necessary. That is why you need to believe in yourself, because you're more capable of doing great things than you give yourself credit. Lean in, aim up, and move forward. Yes, you can. Yes, you will.